Gobierno de Chile saludamos afectuosamente a los gobernadores y gobernadoras del BID y BID-Inves y a todos los asistentes a estas reuniones anuales de las asambleas de gobernadores en Santiago y a los eventos temáticos en Punta Arenas. Bienvenidos al país más largo del mundo, un territorio donde la geografía deslumbra los sentidos, desde los áridos desiertos del norte, pasando por frondosos bosques lluviosos e imponentes volcanes, hasta los milenarios hielos del extremo sur del planeta. Flanqueado por la cordillera de los Andes y el Océano Pacífico, Chile es un país de abundantes riquezas naturales que han impulsado un desarrollo sostenible y su integración al mundo a través de las exportaciones, consolidándose como un actor clave en la región. Gracias a una economía resiliente y dinámica, Chile ha logrado reducir la pobreza y avanzar en equidad social y mira al futuro con confianza, firmeza, perspectiva y creatividad. Nos proyectamos hacia el futuro apostando por un modelo de desarrollo sostenible con innovación y tecnología. La transición hacia energías limpias, el impulso del hidrógeno verde y la valorización del litio son pilares fundamentales de nuestra estrategia para enfrentar el cambio climático y contribuir al crecimiento global. Chile cimenta su desarrollo en torno a 3 grandes ejes que reflejan su historia, identidad y visión de futuro. El primer eje es la sostenibilidad, que guía todas nuestras acciones desde la conservación de recursos naturales hasta la promoción de un turismo responsable. El segundo eje es la democracia, que cultivamos y cuidamos con estabilidad institucional y certeza jurídica, garantizando un entorno confiable para la inversión. Y el tercer eje es la diversidad. Chile avanza hacia un futuro más integrado y comprometido con los desafíos globales. Los invitamos a descubrir nuestro país y a construir juntos nuevas oportunidades de desarrollo y cooperación. Bienvenidos a Chile.
Señoras y señores.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the 65th annual meeting of the Boards of Governors of the Inter-American Development Bank and the 39th annual meeting of the Boards of Governors of the Inter-American Investment Corporation. This first part of the meeting will hear from the outgoing chairperson, Governor Jose Manuel Vicente Duboc. I am also going to introduce you to those who are with him at the head table. We acknowledge Elon Goldfein, President of the Inter-American Development Bank and President of the Board of Executive Directors of the IIC, as well as Jordan Schwartz, who is the Executive Vice President of the bank. James Scriven, CEO of the IIC. Irene Arias, CEO of IDB Lab. Gerardo Corrochano, Secretary of the meetings of the boards of the bank and the corporation. At this time, I will offer the floor to the chairperson of the boards of governors of the IDB and the IIC, Governor Duboc. Thank you very much, governors. Given that we have reached the necessary quorum, I would like to call to order this opening session of the annual meetings of the Boards of Governors of the Bank and the Corporation. On behalf of all governors, I would like to thank the Republic of Chile, and a special thanks to the City of Santiago for the fantastic and warm welcome we have received. As an outgoing chairperson of the Boards of Governors of the Bank and the IIC, I would like to share my impression of the work we have done since the last annual meetings.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon, everyone. Elon Goldfein, President of the IDB Group, Vice Presidents, members of the Board of Executive Directors of the IDB, governors, representatives of the member countries joining us today, special guests, and everyone. It is an honor for me, as the outgoing chairperson of the Boards of Governors, to address you after having had the privilege and the responsibility of leading these meetings during this last year. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to those who organized this activity, and in particular, local officials for their hard work and dedication coordinating this important meeting here in Chile. Chile has been a role model for the region in the implementation of inclusive economic development policies. This event brings us together at a time that is critical for our economies and our societies. And it is certainly a key forum for cooperation and sharing of ideas between our countries so that we can continue making progress towards building joint solutions to our shared challenges. It has already been 1 year since we held the annual meetings in Punta Cana, and that was a milestone, given the transformative changes that helped increase the scope and efficiency of the IDB in Latin America and the Caribbean. During these annual meetings, there were 3 significantly important reforms. The first was the new institutional strategy of the IDB Group, with the slogan, Transforming for Scale and Impact. This strategy is based on driving impact and the results of the group through a number of steps that seek to reduce poverty and inequality, speed up climate action, and drive sustainable regional growth. The second resolution was on the $3.5 billion capital increase for IDB Invest and strengthening of its capacity to channel resources to the region through a new business model. The new business model for IDB Invest will also allow it to pivot towards a new approach, originate to share, allowing it to take on more risk, increase its geographic reach, and deploy more innovative instruments for better results. The third approved resolution was a plan to expand the operating model of IDB Lab, turning it into an innovation hub for development. This initiative will ensure that IDB Lab projects go to benefit the most vulnerable by promoting innovative results in the use of new technologies. These strategic alignment efforts help improve the work the group does and make sure that financial inclusion and resource mobilization can come from the private sector and also help guide investment decisions. It will also strengthen the synergies between IDB, IDB Invest, and IDB Lab, and will help create more value for the region. In addition to this, during this period, we were part of key decision-making processes. For example, the approval of the creation of the 14th chair in the Board of Executive Directors of IDB Invest, and pursuant to its agreement and thanks to participation from the executive directors. The idea is to strengthen governance and improve the decision-making structure between member countries. The last year, I should say, has been full of work, focusing on making the most of the experience in each of the entities that make up the IDB group, with the goal of improving the sustainable development in the region and addressing the needs of member countries through structural reforms and an increase of the available resources to address short, medium, and long-term demand. 2024 was characterized by major challenges for our countries, challenges that we have taken on together and committed to general well-being. Currently, the region is facing growing uncertainty globally. The impact of global inflation, fluctuations in raw material prices, and volatility in international financial markets can all create disruptions in our economies. This scenario will require reasonable policies and flexible policies that protect economic stability as well as social conditions. Against this backdrop, it is absolutely vital for us to continue bolstering multilateralism and promoting regional cooperation. The strategic alliance with the IDB is absolutely essential and can help us overcome global challenges and expedite progress in the region. We must continue working together to drive strategies that help with sustainable development in an international context that is challenging. The Dominican Republic will continue to work very closely with the IDB to drive projects and initiatives that can help drive progress in our country's social inclusion, as well as the strengthening of our institutions. I thank each and every one of you for your support, and thank you for trusting us over this last year. We also appreciate the financial and technical support provided by the IDB Group. I wish to also wish all the best and a successful mandate to Governor Mario Marcel, who is taking on the mantle as the chairperson of the meetings today. We understand that the road ahead is going to be challenging, but I trust that through working together and cooperation, we're going to continue seeing positive results, and that our region is going to continue building on its growth and strengthening its ability to take on the future with greater resilience. Thank you.
Señoras y señores
Governors, now I would like to invite you to elect one of our colleagues to become the chairperson of the meetings of the boards of governors. Pursuant to the regulations of the meetings, the governor elected will be chairperson of the boards of governors of the Inter-American Development Bank and of the board of governors of the Inter-American Investment Corporation until the next annual meetings of the boards of governors. I offer the floor to the governor for Paraguay, who will be followed by the governor for Barbados, and then the governor for Croatia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As economists, we first crossed paths when we were both the presidents of our respective central banks. And here we meet once again as ministers. And so as the governor for Paraguay, it is truly an honor for me to nominate as chairperson of the annual meeting of the boards of governors of the IDB and the IIC a consummate professional, an excellent minister, and even better friend, my colleague Mario Marcel.
In my capacity as Governor Alternate for Barbados, it is my pleasure to second the motion presented by the Governor of Paraguay to elect Mr. Mario Marcel Culel, Governor for the Republic of Chile, as the President of the Boards of Governors of the Inter-American Development Bank and the Inter-American Investment Corporation. Barbados thanks the outgoing Governor for his leadership over the past year, and we welcome the new President as we navigate the role of the IDB in an evolving global environment.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As the Governor of Croatia, I am pleased to support the motion as presented by the Governor of Paraguay and Governor Alternate of Barbados. And I propose the election of Mr. Mario Marcel Culel as the President of the Boards of Governors of Inter-American Development Bank and Inter-American Investment Corporation be made by acclamation. Thank you very much.
Señoras y
Governors, the Governor for Paraguay has nominated the Governor for the Republic of Chile, Mario Marcel, for the position of Chairperson of the Board of Governors for the Bank and the Corporation. The Governor for Barbados has seconded this nomination. The Governor for Croatia has also seconded this nomination and has suggested that we elect by acclamation.
muchas felicidades para el colega Mario.
Congratulations, Mario. It's a well-deserved recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, as a result, the Governor for the Republic of Chile, Mario Marcel, has been elected by acclamation to serve as a chairperson of the Boards of Governors of the Bank and the Corporation. I invite the new chairperson of the Boards of Governors of the Bank and the IIC to join me here in the dais.
A continuación, hará uso de la palabra.
We will now hear from the new chairperson of the Boards of Governors of the Bank and the IC, Mario Marcel Culel. Mr. Chairperson, you have the floor, sir.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Secretary. President of the Inter-American Development Bank, Ilan Goldfein, governors, officials, IDB officials, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to the governors of Paraguay, Barbados, and Croatia for this nomination, and of course would like to thank my fellow representatives of the 45 countries present here for electing me as the president of the Boards of Governors of the IDB and IDB Invest. It is truly an honor to be here today, not only as the Finance Minister of Chile, but also as someone who has had the privilege of being part of this organization from different angles, as a staff member, as manager, as consultant, as director, as governor, as a client, and now as chairperson of the boards of governors. I would like to also give a special recognition to Minister Hochi Vicente from the Dominican Republic for his commitment to the work done during this last period. This has been fundamental work for moving forward and driving the IDB Group's mission in taking on the challenges of our region.
El Grupo BID
The IDB Group has been a key partner for Chile, has supported our social and economic development by financing and providing technical assistance for fundamental issues like infrastructure, trade, education, healthcare, technological innovation, and environmental sustainability. I am proud, as I remember, that the first president of the IDB was an economist and lawyer of Chile, Felipe Herrera, a predecessor in the finance ministry who left a great legacy in this organization. His leadership and his vision laid the foundation for the bank to become a key institution for financing development in Latin America and the Caribbean. We heard several times today his words repeated by others saying that the bank was more than just a bank. And Felipe Herrera said this because his ultimate goal was to speed up development in the region. That continues to be the case. It's important to be clear that the bank expedites development and responds to the commitments that the countries assume as sovereign entities. The IDB does not impose and does not replace policies in the government. That has been the case since the beginning. We must ensure it continues to be the case going forward. The bank needs to therefore be able to hold discussions and be able to listen to the countries and ensure that it works for these countries through its experience and its skills and capabilities. The strategies and the instruments are all there, we must remember. And they're not there because the bank decided for that to be the case, or a few donors, or some of the different members, but rather because that is what we as a membership want the bank to do. The IDB has been able to help our country become a role model for the region with sustainable development. In Magallana, the event we held was not a coincidence. This is a region that is seeing a lot of investment in projects of the future. Chile, like other countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, has natural comparative advantages, and these are investments from a few decades ago that have been building on each other. Sustainable growth requires all of the dimensions of the economy in a region. It goes beyond the strategy of any one institution. It is a goal that must be sought after by the public policy to ensure that future generations can also enjoy social and economic benefits that derive from the actions we take today. Latin America has been an economically volatile and heterogeneous region, and this is why growth needs to continue to be sustained over time. And my proposal is a simple one. Sustainable growth and inclusive growth equals sustained growth. The environmental and social crises have been something that we have all experienced in our region. It has created political volatility and scenarios that require persistence and time to mature. In order to drive development in Latin America and the Caribbean, we need to think about the relations between the economies and no longer think about them as a zero-sum game. The crisis in any given country is never just a crisis in that country, because it can lead to increased perception of risk and immigration, among others. When a country stabilizes its economy and drives growth and improves infrastructure, that is beneficial for its neighbors through new opportunities of trade, investment, growing the value chain, and by sharing best practices. And this last part is especially important for Latin America and the Caribbean. We still have a lot of potential when it comes to integration we can achieve. This is why the regional initiatives the bank advocates for are so important, like the DRM program and Citizen Security Alliance, as well as others, which we have mentioned already and will continue to discuss as the meetings unfold. The regional challenges require cooperation so that we can improve physical and digital connectivity and overcome the logistics barriers and institutional barriers. The initiatives launched during this annual meeting is going to be a response that the IDB has been looking to implement in order to address these challenges, looking to be sustainable and improving capacity and opportunities for local communities by having customs and border protection, for example, in the integration agenda, and also helping improve the cohesion in our countries. To continue going forward, we need to be pragmatic and we need to get concrete and sustainable results. This is why the private sector plays such an important role in implementing high-impact projects that can be an add-on to steps the government takes. Strengthening public-private partnerships as well as growing our businesses throughout our region is also part of development. We understand that the times around the globe now are challenging, but we also know that Latin America and the Caribbean does have competitive advantages in a number of different areas that can help us see progress. We have raw materials that can help us with renewables and clean energies and be able to attract sophisticated technologies, the financial markets that allow and foster innovation with the regulations that adapt to new business models, the goods and services and export sector can help with technology adoptions, as well as the capacity we see in strategic sectors like knowledge-based services, AI, development of software, among others, which creates new export opportunities and creating high-quality jobs. This is why Chile has reiterated its commitment to the IDB group, notifying the support to IDB Invest and IDB Lab, and also understand that there are other important members that have done that as well, as the outgoing chairperson stated. These commitments focus on the importance of the IDB's work in the region and driving sustainable development and inclusion in our countries. The recent internal restructuring, as well as the increase in the lending capacity of the bank, will increase its scale and operations, aligning the organization with its strategic goals. But we know that that is not where the work ends. We must continue creating incentives to have long-term policies that can go beyond any given administration and improve the lives of people in our region. I would like to once again state my commitment of working together in a coordinated way with each and every one of you so that we can all achieve a goal that is of all of us to share, which is having inclusive, sustained development for all of our countries and our region. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. As you know, during this opening session, we're going to be honored with a visit from the President of the Republic of Chile, President Gabriel Boric. And so we will have a 15-minute break. During that time, there is going to be an artistic presentation, and we ask everyone to remain in their seats. Thank you.
Vamos a recordar que vamos a hacer un
Just to remind everyone that we are going to have a quick break now, but we invite you to please remain in your seats. What we're going to see starting in a few moments is going to be an incredible journey. There are some technical glitches, but as you know, beautiful things sometimes require that we wait just a little bit for them to be fully ready. We are going to allow for the music to take over this space. And again, as I said earlier, we're about to enjoy a musical experience that is very different, but that also through the lyrics can remind us of what we have been discussing over the last few days. So thank you very much for being patient, and please stay with us.
¿Qué tienen en común un estudiante universitario en el Caribe, una agricultora en los Andes y un repartidor en Centroamérica? Sus vidas han mejorado gracias a innovaciones impulsadas por BitLab, el brazo de innovación y Venture Capital del Banco Interamericano de Desarrollo. En BitLab, canalizamos el poder del emprendimiento y la tecnología para crear oportunidades para quienes más las necesitan. Fomentamos la escala de...
Thank you very much for being patient. It's a very special invitation. It's a journey. It connects us with what we feel and we share what goes beyond words. Today we pay a tribute to Renanda Parra. She's one of our best artists. Her sensitive and deep perspective reflected the human reality of her times, but also of ours. Her lyrics still call to us with a clarity that moves us. We celebrate a creator who made art an act of conscience. Her work is still alive in our thoughts and in our hearts. I'll invite you to be part of this tribute by Francisca Gavilan, who played Violeta in the movie Violeta se fue a los cielos. And she will be accompanied by a musician, and they will take us on this journey. We'll let you hear this legacy, these symbols that go beyond generations and borders. They speak to something that is essential, but that we sometimes forget, the human condition.
Me enojo con medio mundo para salir adelante, porque todavía ni la 10ª parte de los chilenos reconocen su folclore, así que tengo que estar batallando casi puerta por puerta y ventana por ventana. Es harto duro todavía, es como si estuviera empezando recién, Mario, porque el interés mío es que la gente joven haga estas cosas, estos muchachos jóvenes con energía y con inquietudes y con un sentimiento más chileno. Necesitaré toda mi vida y todas mis fuerzas para llevar a cabo este trabajo que me he propuesto. A veces me siento agotada, pero la guitarra me devuelve siempre el ánimo.
Escucho. Vamos. ¿Cómo están?
How are you? Good afternoon, dear members of the Inter-American Development Bank, ministers of finance, and authorities from various countries. It is an honor for Guti and myself to be here with you during this important meeting. Today, we're here to share a small tribute to one of the greatest and most complete artists of Chile and the world throughout, Violeta Parra.
Para olvidarme de ti voy a cultivar la tierra. En ella espero encontrar remedio para mi pena. Aquí plantaré el rosal de las espinas más gruesas. Tendré lista la corona para cuando en mí te muera. Para mi tristeza violeta azul, clavelina roja pa' mi pasión, y para saber si me corresponde deshojo un blanco manzanillo. Si me quieres mucho, poquito, nada, tranquilo queda mi corazón. Desciendan poco a poco los alegres pensamientos. Cuando ya estén florecidos, irá lejos tu recuerdo. De la flor de la amapola seré su mejor amiga. La pondré bajo la almohada para dormirme tranquila. Para mi tristeza violeta azul, clavelina roja pa' mi pasión, y para saber si me corresponde deshojo un blanco manzanillo. Si me quieres mucho, poquito, nada, tranquilo queda mi corazón. Cogollo de toronjil cuando me aumenten las penas. Las flores de mi jardín han de ser mis enfermeras. Y si acaso yo me ausento antes que tú te arrepientas, heredarás estas flores, ven a curarte con ellas. Para mi tristeza violeta azul, clavelina roja pa' mi pasión, y para saber si me corresponde deshojo un blanco manzanillón. Si me quieres mucho, poquito, nada, tranquilo queda mi corazón. Si me quieres mucho, poquito, nada, tranquilo queda mi corazón. Muchas gracias. Muchísimas gracias por estar acá. Qué lindo verlas y verlos. Son muchas personas. Yo soy actriz y tuve el placer y el honor.
It's great to see you. I'm an actor and I had the honor of playing Violeta Parra in the movie Violeta Went to Heaven by Andres Currio, where I also had the honor of preparing for the role with Ángel Parra, Violeta's son, who's also in heaven now. And it was an honor for me. I learned a lot. She was a self-taught woman who learned everything on her own. And she learned a lot of it with her brother Nicanor, the anti-poet. She leaves us an amazing legacy. She was the first woman who had her weaves and her paintings in an exhibit at the Louvre. She was a modern woman who was ahead of her time. Back when women stayed home caring for children while the husband would go work. I won't bother you with these stories anymore. There's a wedding that is happening. Would you like to join me? Let's go.
Se ha formado un casamiento, todos cubiertos de negro, negros novios y pairinos, negros cuñados y suegros, y el cura que los casó era de los mismos negros. Cuando empezaron la fiesta, pusieron un mantel negro, luego llegaron al postre, se sirvieron higos secos y se fueron a acostar debajo de un cielo negro. Y ahí están las dos cabezas de la negra con el negro, y amanecieron con frío, tuvieron que prender fuego, carbón trajo la negrita, carbón que también es negro. Y ahí están las dos cabezas de la negra con el negro, y amanecieron con frío, tuvieron que prender fuego, carbón trajo la negrita, carbón que también es negro. Algo le duele a la negra, vino el médico del pueblo, recetó emplasto de barro, pero del barro más negro, que le dieran a la negra zumo de maquí del cerro. Ya se murió la negrita, qué pena al pobre negro, la puso dentro de un cajón, cajón pintado de negro, no prendieron ni una vela, ay qué velorio más negro. Muchas gracias. Un aplauso para el gran Cutia.
Thank you very much. An applause for my musician. All of us here believe in a sustainable future. Resilience and energy renewal, some of the values that stand out for those who are part of this event. Violeta never had the opportunity to talk about renewables or energy renovation, but while she was alive, she went to valleys, hills, remote areas, trying to find her ancient legacy. She wrote in her small notebook everything about her experiences meeting people in these areas so that that legacy would persist until today. There was a way her way of recycling everything. We would like to invite you now to listen to these songs as if this were the very first time you heard a Violeta Parra song.
Cuando fui para la pampa llevaba mi corazón contento como un chirigüe, pero allá se me murió. Primero perdí las plumas y luego perdí la voz, y arriba quemando el sol. Cuando vi de los mineros dentro de su habitación, me dije mejor habita en su concha el caracol, o a la sombra de la ley el refinado ladrón, y arriba. Me dio dos luceros que cuando los abro perfecto distingo lo negro del blanco, y en el alto cielo su fondo estrellado, y en las multitudes el hombre que yo amo. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el oído que en todo su ancho graba noche y día, grillos y canarios, martillos, turbinas, ladridos, chubascos y la voz tan tierna de mi bien amado. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el sonido y el abecedario, con él las palabras que pienso y declaro. Madre, amigo, hermano y luz alumbrando la ruta del alma del que estoy amando. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado la marcha de mis pies cansados. Con ellos anduve ciudades y charcos, playas y desiertos, montañas y llanos, y la casa tuya, tu calle y tu patio. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio el corazón que agita su marco cuando miro el fruto del cerebro humano, cuando miro al bueno tan lejos del malo, cuando miro el fondo de tus ojos claros. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado la risa y me ha dado el llanto. Así yo distingo dicha de quebranto, los dos materiales que forman mi canto y el canto de ustedes, que es el mismo canto, y el canto de todos, que es mi propio canto, y el canto de ustedes, que es el mismo canto, y el canto de todos, que es mi propio canto. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. This would not be possible with my great friend and partner, Udiaste. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here, for listening to us. Thank you for your resilience, for your energy. Let's forge ahead. Thank you very much.
Bueno, agradecemos también, y no sé si les parece, un fuerte aplauso para Francisca.
Let us give Francisca Gaitán and Utiaste a round of applause for their great performance and for sharing this from Violeta Parra. We will now proceed with our session. There are a number of additional activities, very relevant speeches and statements. Thank you for your patience. We will continue shortly.
Ahora les queremos amablemente.
We will kindly ask you to rise to your feet so we can welcome His Excellence, the President of the Republic, Mr. Gabriel Boric Font, and the President of the Inter-American Development Bank, Mr. Ilan Goldfein. Welcome.
Muy buenas tardes. Ahora tengo el agrado de invitar al señor Ilan Golf.
We'll now call on Ilan Goldfein, President of the Inter-American Development Bank and Chairperson of the Board of Executive Directors of the Inter-American Investment Corporation. Mr. Goldfein, you have the floor. Your Excellency, Mr. Gabriel Boric Font, President of the Republic of Chile, Mr. Mario Marcel Cuyel, incoming Chairperson of the Boards of Governors of the Bank and the IIC, and Governor for the Republic of Chile, Mr. Jose Manuel Vicente Duboc Hochi, outgoing Chairperson of the Boards of Governors and Governor for the Dominican Republic, governors, heads of delegation, ambassadors, representatives of the Diplomatic Corps, executive directors of the bank and the AIC, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly a pleasure to be here in Chile for the annual meetings of the IDB and to especially be here in this beautiful cultural center, Estación Mapocho, which is a symbol of the great culture that this country offers the world. Chile is a country that stands out in many areas, particularly its people and its wonderful landscapes. I have just arrived on Tuesday from Punta Arenas, and I was impressed by the beauty that I saw in this region, Magallanes' region. As the great poet Pablo Neruda said, the person who does not know the Chilean forest does not know this planet. I would like to thank Chilean authorities and especially President Boric and Minister Marcel for welcoming us so kindly here for our meetings in Santiago. And I would also like to especially thank you for clearing up the clouds and for giving us such a perfect day when we visited Torres del Paine. We had a wonderful day. I would also like to thank the outgoing chairperson of our boards of governors, Minister Hochi, for all the work carried out throughout the course of the year, and welcome our incoming president, Minister Marcel. We know you will have a busy year. Chile stands out as an example of stability in the region, with democratic values, liberty, rule of law, solid institutions. Chile has shown that it is possible to ensure that the common good and long-term objectives prevail. Chile's commitment with the enforcement of development policies in successive governments has fostered economic stability and led to more growth. Over the last 30 years, Chile has tripled its GDP. Behind these achievements, there is an efficient public sector which combines the need for regulation with policies that enable the development of the private sector. Strategic investments today in critical minerals and renewable energies are transforming Chile into a key player in global supply chains. Today, Chile is the second main producer of lithium in the world. It has the greatest known reserves of this mineral in the world, and it's leader of the critical mineral market that are key for the energy transition. And in Punta Arenas, I've seen firsthand the potential that it has to produce and export green hydrogen. Our aim as Chile's partner at the IDB is precisely to support the country to ensure that they harness these opportunities. This means that we need to provide more and better support to initiatives like the Government Administration Modernization Program that we're supporting, or their digital government agenda that helped create digital government platforms that increase efficiency, or to bolster cybersecurity. It also means more and better support to programs like the one that we have in Chile to use artificial intelligence with the aim of reducing crime. It means more and better support to the private sector through IDB Invest, with activities like delivering innovative financial solutions to enable the implementation of rate stabilization legislation so we can alleviate the price of electricity for vulnerable populations and small companies. This week, we signed agreements with Chile to the tune of $180 million. These agreements between the IDB and Chile include programs that will foster services to ensure more experts how to improve and strengthen infrastructure management at the urban and regional levels, how to promote the sustainable use of water and electricity on Easter Island, and how to support reforms for a more resilient growth trajectory. We are already gearing efforts for the future. We will help them with their pension reform. We will strengthen citizen security. We will help develop the care sector. We launched IDB Cares only yesterday, and so let me now talk about these annual meetings. There are more than 3,000 people here today, coming from 48 countries. We have representatives of the private sector. You have representatives from civil society. We had a half-day seminars talking to civil society representatives. We have regional experts from Latin America and the world. All this is a testament to our conviction that development needs ideas and investment, but also action from all sectors, from the private and public sector, from locals, foreigners, investors. We are bringing the world to Chile, and we're projecting Chile to the world. And what is the focus of these meetings? I would say it's trifold. First, to discuss our reform program under the label of IDB Impact, with its three transformations: the new institutional strategy, IDB Lab Plus, and IDB Invest Plus. We also launched new initiatives, as I said before, IDB Cares, the Regional Natural Disaster Coordination Program, the South America Regional Integration Program, which will be launched as soon as we finish this inaugural session, or initiatives that we have in place with the private sector. Moreover, we discussed cases of common interest across the region. The region asked for a security partnership, and we launched this partnership to fight against organized crime. Organized crime is organized, and it is transnational, so we ourselves have to organize in a transnational way, and IDB is involved in those efforts. We have the interest in crowding in the private sector, working with a public sector that provides the necessary conditions for this. We need to be efficient and effective at the IDB, but we also need to deploy efforts in the public sector in each country. So we have areas of common interest. So these annual meetings are to discuss the implementation of IDB strategy, of common strategies and initiatives for all of us, and also to discuss the launch of innovations. I was going to say Punta Arenas, but I meant Punta Cana. A year ago in Punta Cana, we approved the capitalization and new business model for IDB Invest. We approved a new business model for IDB Lab as well. And today, we are strengthening these efforts with initiatives and reforms in our instruments and reforms in our ability to deploy financing. I'll give you an example. We need to have more resources. Today we have more than $25 billion in annual financing. Well, let me tell you that our goal is to exceed $38 billion by the end of the decade, so $13 billion more. So for the region, this means $130 billion, but this means nothing if our resources do not translate into impact. And that means that we need to have all the necessary reforms that support these efforts so that we can ensure that we have an impact. I want to conclude by going to the words of Felipe Herrera, a former IDB president. He said that the IDB needs to be more than a bank. And I dare say today that Felipe Herrera would be proud of us today. We continue to work hand in hand with countries like Chile. I want to once again thank the government of Chile for hosting this meeting in their country. It is an example for Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Presidente Goldfein.
Thank you very much, Mr. President Goldfein. I now have the honor to invite His Excellence, the President of the Chilean Republic, Gabriel Boric Font, so he can address the participants of this meeting. Mr. President, you have the floor.
Muy buenas tardes. A very good afternoon to everyone with us. It has been truly an honor for our country, for our administration, to host this year the annual meetings of the IDB. When Minister Marcel raised this was back in 2022. At that time, I guess I didn't necessarily see the significance of it, but Minister Marcel insisted, and I'm glad that he did. Having looked at the work done with the IDB over all this time, understanding what it does and the great contributions it provides to improve in a concrete way people's lives. I just came from a small landlocked town close to the Andes. It's called Catemu. That is where we launched the new implementation of the mining royalties. And that will bring significant financing to a lot of those communities. These communities that in our country previously did not have that financing available. When we look at the support the IDB provides through programs and what it does with the national government, I think about all of the public policy that can be done thanks to these royalty programs, which will be enhanced thanks to that as well. For example, strengthening regional governments that are working with the IDB, or the improvement process for public procurement that is work underway with the IDB. And Governor Philip, I think I see there, the regional government support program that we're also part of with the IDB. And again, when I say this, I understand we're not only talking to Chileans, we're talking to the people living in the 48 member countries of this organization. And I see that represented in all of the flags here of these nations. And I do want to invite and encourage everyone here to think about the IDB not only as this multilateral organization that is somewhere other than in our countries, but rather think about the impact in your countries through these programs, and how ultimately a girl, an elderly person, a woman who cares for someone who is sick, someone who is aging, a child, how a community can benefit from the work that our governments do with the Inter-American Development Bank. That's what matters. Many times public policy, or when we have these kinds of discussions, sometimes it's difficult to think of that end beneficiary. But let's think about them. They are who we work for, and they're the ones we're helping. They will probably not know or have never heard of the IDB. But it is important for us to know that these partnerships deliver. And this is why our Finance Minister, Mario Marcel, being the new chairperson of the Boards of Governors, is something that fills me with pride. It recognizes his experience, his path to where he is today, and also his contribution to our public policy today. We are a country that is experiencing very challenging fiscal conditions as a result of the pandemic. And thanks to the resilience, thanks to the seriousness, thanks to the way that Minister Marcel and his team have managed these situations, Chile is back on track towards growth. Governors of the IDB, authorities, academia, invited guests and experts. This meeting, I would imagine, as we hear more and more about the fact that it is taking place at a very important time for our country and the world. Multilateralism is currently being challenged, questioned. A time when cooperation between countries is being threatened. And I do have to say that we are a medium-sized country, but a fully proud country. And no country, no matter how strong it can be, can take on all of the challenges facing humanity today if they go it alone. We need each other. No one is going to come out of this alone. And the pursuit of prosperity and well-being for our peoples is something that requires this joint work beyond any differences that can come from here or there. We've had some controversy with a few of the local governments, but what I have tried to convey to my peers is that the administrations come and go, but the people remain. And this is why, as fleeting governors and fleeting leaders, we need to take care of our peoples, take care of our institutions. And that is the key to success, the key to development in our countries, as also expressed in this well-known book, Why Countries Fail. Isolationism, burning bridges, raising walls, unilaterally imposing tariffs will not deliver solutions. It is, as a matter of fact, working together, something that the IDB helps us to do, helping us find our way beyond our differences. That is where we're going to find development. And as Elon was saying, some of the challenges we're facing today don't recognize old domestic borders. Organized crime blatantly ignores these borders, and to address that, we need to work together as countries. Migration throughout the entire planet, really anywhere you look, No one is exempt from this, and this has become a true challenge for many governments. We need to work together to address that. The triple crisis, climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss, they are global challenges. And having a single country do a single thing will not solve that. This is why in Chile, it is painful to see part of the Amazon burn. In Chile, it is painful, it is alarming to see a migration crisis in the Darien Gap in Chile. We're concerned by the creation of organized gangs or trafficking in persons and drugs, and this goes beyond our domestic borders, and we know that eventually it will come to us. This is why we cannot ask for whom the bell tolls, that tell the bell tolls for you. The rapid advance of technology, a absolutely daunting challenge, but we cannot be afraid. We shouldn't be afraid of technology. We need to embrace it, but also make sure that we are channeling them. We're actually finding the direction that these changes move us in. Technology for thousands of years has changed the lives of the people and our lives here on the planet, has accelerated since the industrialization of our countries, and this is what we see with technological advances. The discussion on how changes in technology can help either improve distribution or take a new approach at wealth distribution and power distribution, that is playing out today. In the 19th century, during the Industrial Revolution, the unions and their social causes, that's what allowed to find balance in that redistribution. And what is going to be the example of that now? What social society is going to do, what the MDBs are going to do, how to use new technologies and better distribute wealth, how to move that wealth away from the few and arbitrary hands it is in now. This is why multilateral development banks play such an important role in deepening integration. Elon said something that I think was absolutely key, something I found really interesting. One of the things the IDB allows is for engagement between governments that sometimes can be challenging, maybe because of what we lack, leaders of these countries. But thanks to organizations like the IDB in, for example, regional integration, with the interoceanic waterways connection is one example in the north of Chile, south of Brazil, northern Argentina, and Paraguay. This is a good example of how important multilateral organizations are. The IDB has stood out because it has been able to not only respond to those needs, but also make adjustments, adapt, look for results. The IDB group's president and our finance minister, they're all fully aware of what is necessary. A woman today living in a rural area said to me, "Thank you, Mr. President, because I now see myself as a caregiver, and others see me as a caregiver. In the past, this was simply invisible work, and care, which is mainly done by women, supports national economies. And in the past, it was invisible." There was another caregiver who said, "I am very poor in time." How can a program like the one that the IDB is driving help address something like that? That's important. The Prepared and Resilient program from the IDB that's going to be launched during this meeting is something that I'm very proud of, especially since it is also sponsored by Chile. And I am glad to see that we have experienced the different disasters stemming from climate change or from weather hazards. As you know, Chile has been used to these kinds of hazards, volcano eruptions, rising tides, and these other natural disasters. And what happens here happens in other countries in our hemisphere, and we need to help each other. When you look at developed countries like Canada or the US and California, not too long ago, they are also suffering from the devastating impact of wildfires. How can we not find some way to all work together so that we can help with a changing season, for example, or to adapt, to work on readiness? This program is going to help with financial solutions and policy recommendations to make efforts in improving our disaster response and improve the regional coordination mechanism for forest fires that can lead to so much damage for our peoples. The terrible disaster we had 2 years ago in Chile with these wildfires. I remember I was traveling to the south of the country, going to the affected areas, and I received 2 letters. And this was 2 letters we got in the office. We get hundreds, but one was from the IDB and the other was from CAF. And they were providing support, and it wasn't just pretty words. The money was there. And that was to help us recover, given everything we were losing. And I felt like I was part of something bigger than me. There was an opportunity from the support of a larger community. I also agree with the IDB president in how important cooperation is between the public and private sectors through solid strategies that can help develop our nations, the kind of development that needs to be sustainable but also inclusive, socially and environmentally friendly, and also one that redistributes the wealth that it generates. That requires a vision of the government that is committed to its peoples and not only to the elite. Chile is currently a leader in renewables, and we are seeing a lot of progress in lithium and green hydrogen. However, that's also thanks to our long-term thinking. The projects here, a major part of these projects, don't have an expiration date that matches the last day of a given administration. In Chile, we have 4-year terms, no re-election. It's rare, and it's something I think about, not because I want to be here for that much longer, but only because 4 years feels short. In Uruguay, for example, you have a 5-year term. In Chile, it used to be 6 years without the possibility of re-election. In the U.S., so we're talking about 4 years with possibility of 1 re-election. In other countries, it's 5-year terms. But again, these major projects will be on any one term of any president. And there's so much transfer of power nowadays that it can be very challenging to find continuity. And I believe it's really important for all of us to be able to have a longer-term vision for these projects and take care of our institutions. When it comes to green hydrogen, for example, we have been working with the former energy minister under President Piñera and working with former President Bachelet, or in non-conventional renewable energies. That has been absolutely vital. We have all understood that this needs to be a national policy that doesn't crumble when there is a change in administration. No one is going to come here with a chainsaw to try to cut the government just to leave their mark. We in Chile have a long-term vision for what we want to do as a country. We have developed strategies and created incentives so that the government and private individuals can all help us move forward. I was talking about lithium and the green hydrogen or national plan. We also have stability in the country socially and financially, and that is great for investment. The IDB has been by our side. Guests, the willingness to work with you, to work amongst ourselves, gives hope in a time of turbulence. But we know that no sailor learned to sail in calm seas. And this is why we must continue going forward. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. There being no other matters to discuss, we hereby finalize the session, and we hereby inaugurate the 65th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the IDB and the 39th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the IIC. Thank you very much.
¿Qué tienen en común un estudiante universitario en el Caribe, una agricultora en los Andes y un repartidor en Centroamérica? Sus vidas han mejorado gracias a innovaciones impulsadas por BitLab, el brazo de innovación y Venture Capital del Banco Interamericano de Desarrollo. En BitLab, canalizamos el poder del emprendimiento y la tecnología para crear oportunidades para quienes más las necesitan. Fomentamos la escala de nuevas soluciones para cerrar brechas sociales, promover la resiliencia ambiental y aumentar la productividad empresarial. Lo hacemos brindando financiamiento crítico, generando conocimiento práctico y forjando conexiones globales. Con todo esto, desarrollamos startups de alto impacto y los ecosistemas de innovación que necesitan para prosperar. BitLab, innovación que mejora vidas en América Latina y el Caribe.
En nombre del Gobierno de Chile, saludamos afectuosamente a los gobernadores y gobernadoras del BID y BID-Inves y a todos los asistentes a estas reuniones anuales de las asambleas de gobernadores en Santiago y a los eventos temáticos en Punta Arenas. Bienvenidos al país más largo del mundo, un territorio donde la geografía deslumbra los sentidos, desde los áridos desiertos del norte, pasando por frondosos bosques lluviosos e imponentes volcanes, hasta los milenarios hielos del extremo sur del planeta. Flanqueado por la cordillera de los Andes y el Océano Pacífico, Chile es un país de abundantes riquezas naturales que han impulsado un desarrollo sostenible y su integración al mundo a través de las exportaciones, consolidándose como un actor clave en la región. Gracias a una economía resiliente y dinámica, Chile ha logrado reducir la pobreza y avanzar en equidad social y mira al futuro con confianza, firmeza, perspectiva y creatividad. Nos proyectamos hacia el futuro apostando por un modelo de desarrollo sostenible con innovación y tecnología. La transición hacia energías limpias, el impulso del hidrógeno verde y la valorización del litio son pilares fundamentales de nuestra estrategia para enfrentar el cambio climático y contribuir al crecimiento global. Chile cimenta su desarrollo en torno a 3 grandes ejes que reflejan su historia, identidad y visión de futuro. El primer eje es la sostenibilidad, que guía todas nuestras acciones desde la conservación de recursos naturales hasta la promoción de un turismo responsable. El segundo eje es la democracia, que cultivamos y cuidamos con estabilidad institucional y certeza jurídica, garantizando un entorno confiable para la inversión. Y el tercer eje es la diversidad. Chile avanza hacia un futuro más integrado y comprometido con los desafíos globales. Los invitamos a descubrir nuestro país y a construir juntos nuevas oportunidades de desarrollo y cooperación. Bienvenidos a Chile.